kind of seems like if you have at least 2,000, then at least interesting things can happen. At least you can go get 10,000 wishlists out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, out of having a great demo, but at least that's the threshold at which that even happens. If you have less than 2,000, I think almost nobody gets a lot of wishlists.
Hello everyone and welcome to Big Behind the Indie Game. And today we have a very special episode. We're gonna discuss about the upcoming Steam Next Fest in June 2026, what every indie dev should know before it's too late to join and get the most out of this festival. And to help me out, I have a very special guest, Lexy. We've already made our first episode together for Behind the Indie Game. I'm gonna add the link to it right here for you to check it out if you haven't seen it. It was about his own game, High Seas, High Profits, about his development journey on that game. And today he's our masterclass expert into best practices.
You're hyping me a bit too much.
And tips and tricks for making the most out of your Steam Next Fest event. Lexy, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. Yes, you're hyping me a bit too much, though.
Well, that's what friends do, right?
Yeah, well, that's what you do in the intro. Yes.
Exactly. And I guess this is what we should all do to each other as indie developers, right? We should cheer for each other and hype each other up. So
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm glad to do that. First off, for anyone who isn't really aware about it, what is a Next Fest really?
Well, Next Fest is one of the festivals on Steam, and I'll tell you about the festivals in just a second as well. But it is one of the festivals on Steam that is very focused on demos. That is super cool. I think everyone who plays stuff on Steam or has heard of Steam knows that on Steam you can play people's demos. And it's a bit reminiscent of the old days when you would buy CDs with demos on them, that kind of stuff, and it's really cool. Honestly, I think it's one of the biggest reasons, in my view, why the platform is doing so well. Because people actually get to try the thing that they're about to play, not just hope that it's not terrible after paying $80 for it or something like that. But rather you can try the demo, and the demo is probably really cool. And if it's cool, you get to have an informed opinion when actually buying the game. And that actually helps the developers as well, because you're not gonna buy the game if you try the demo and didn't like it. So you're not leaving a negative review. And there's a lot of helpful things in there. And Next Fest is like the demo festival, and it actually has one of the nicest constraints ever, in that you can only join one Next Fest with your game. So you cannot do a Next Fest year after year after year, end up having a festival with like 50,000 games because everyone's doing it again and again. Rather, you can only do it once. And from that, there's a bunch of other things that end up happening. Like people bring the best game that they could bring to the Next Fest, which is really cool. And a lot of the time the demo is really addicting, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that comes from this restriction.
So the main idea is that Steam Next Fest is focused on demos. This is the distinction between every other Steam events, right?
Well, that's one of the bigger ones for sure. And then also that it is hosted by Steam. So there's a lot of events that are in fact just hosted or started, let's say, by different other parties. And then Steam says, okay, yeah, sure, we'll let you do your little event. And depending on the games that come into the festival itself, and depending on some negotiations between the festival creator and Steam, they maybe get or don't get a featuring. It can be a tiny feature, it can be a bigger feature, it could be a giant feature on the whole page. And Next Fest is one of those giant features for the most part.
Okay, so it's not, to be clear for everyone, it's not a sale event, right? It's before actually launching your game, for people to have a taste of the game, and hopefully for the developers to gather as many wishlists as possible. Exactly.
Yes. Right. And historically, that's what we've been trying to do. Go into Next Fest hoping that yes, now I'm going from 1,000 to 100,000 wish lists, and seeing how well that works.
I'm beginning to think that this is the main job of an indie developer. Gather as many wish lists as possible. Forget about the game. Just pump in wish lists.
Well, a lot of that is because if you have a lot of wish lists, it's immensely unlikelier that you will fail. You can still totally fail, but it's just bunch more or less likely that you will fail. Whereas if you don't, and no one knows about your game, it's immensely less likelier that you will actually do well. And that does happen, but it's not as common for sure.
Of course, everyone can fuck it up. That's not a problem.
Yes,
That's easy to do.
Particularly in game development, there's so many opportunities to fuck it up.
Yeah. Really quick, if you made it this far, congrats. You're amazing. Make sure to subscribe to stay in touch with other episodes and other indie developers that are here in the Behind the Indie Game podcast. All right, let's jump back in. Right here, I've brought up the official documentation from Steam about the Steam Next Fest. And let's go right into the upcoming festival, which is in June 2026. One key important aspect, I think you already mentioned about this, you can do this just once per game. Is that right?
Yes. And it's honestly one of the best things about it, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, because this gives you just one opportunity, do it right, and then leaves room for future upcoming games to be discovered. Because otherwise, everyone would just be here all the time, and it would be an overcrowded market.
For sure. And it really incentivizes people to bring their best demo possible to it. You could join Next Fest with basically any kind of demo, and it can be trash, but then people just won't play it, they won't wishlist it, and Steam is just gonna throw you into the abyss. They're not gonna give you too much visibility. And it's one of the interesting things of how the Next Fest algorithm seems to work, is that in the first days, they actually give you quite a bit of visibility. And I actually prepared some data for that. Maybe we can check it out later. But yeah, they give you, if not an equal footing with every other game, they give you a pretty good boost. Like someone who has a lot more wish lists than you will still probably have a lot more visibility from the beginning. But depending on what they do with that visibility, whether they convert or not, they're going to get more or they might lose it.
We have already prepared some data gathered by Chris Tsukowski from How to Market a Game. But before that, let's show real quick the calendar. So for the June event, the Next Fest is between June 15 and June 22nd. I like how Steam says it here on their page, is a multi-day celebration where fans can try out demos and chat with developers and watch live streams. This is really nicely put from their part. Important dates for you to know as an indie developer if you want to register for this event. You have an opportunity to chat with Steam representatives on April 21st. This is important. I would highly advise everyone to join this live Q&A session, ask questions directly to them, and get all the information that you need. The first important deadline is April 27th. This is the registration part. Obviously, this is the first step that you need to do, right? So register from the Steamworks with your game and announce your intention to participate.
Not getting into it if you're not registering. It's like the lottery. You don't win if you don't play.
Exactly. You need to buy your ticket. Here it's free. Another important aspect, if you want Steam to pull your trailer for the official event, you should have it up on the Steam page by May 4th. This is optional from what I know and what I understand, but it's highly useful if you actually have it in place until then. This helps you out to get more exposure. Then on May 18th is the registration deadline for your demo build to be up and running. If you want the press preview to play your game. This, I think, is a not so well-known aspect of Steam Next Fest. Around 1 week or 2 weeks before the official event starts, there's some time allocated just for press to play the demo builds, for them to gather their input, feedback on the game, and write articles to promote it during Next Fest. This is a very important marketing bit. If you are ready with your demo until then, highly advise that you take this into account and apply also for the press preview. As it says here, on June 4th, this is when it starts, and on June 15th, the actual festival begins with your demo. Make sure to set it live. You can still opt out until this time if anything changes for you. And afterwards, you have, I think it's around a week, right? Where the festival is up and running.
Yes, it's always a weekend.
Yeah, Steam ends the event with a wrap-up where they feature the games with the most played demos.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. If you manage to be one of the strongest demos in the Next Fest, that's a lot of visibility that you'll just gonna get basically for free.
Yep.
But you do have to be like, I think it's top 50 or something like that. So you need to be one of the best.
You need one of the best, right? Tens of thousands of wish lists to gather there, I believe. One question that comes to my mind right now is, how do you decide which next fest to join depending on your development timeline, because it's a one-shot decision, right? And Steam has around 3 next fests per year. How do you decide? How did you decide? In which next fest did you participate?
Oh, well, for me, it was a bit odd. I actually wanted to participate in the October one. And what ended up is I actually joined one of the Discord servers for like Romanian game developers. And they said like, oh, you're going to join. That's cool. But is this like the best version of the game that you're going to have before the release? And I was like, no, it's pretty rough still. And they say, oh, you shouldn't do that then. You should basically join with the best version of the game that you have for a bunch of reasons. And since then, I kind of realized the same. And it's also more or less what everyone is saying nowadays, that you should join the last next fest before releasing your game. This has a bunch of advantages. First off being that you'll have the best demo that you possibly can have. So it's more likely to convert into more wishlists because it's just better. You've had more experience in actually running it. And second off, there seems to be a strong correlation between the number of wishlists that you have going into the festival and the number of wishlists that you will gain during the festival. So of course, if you join the last one before releasing, you'll have the most wishlists out of any time period prior to this.
So Steam Next Fest isn't an occasion best suited for you to test your demo and gather feedback from players and just dip your toe in the water. It's an active engagement and commitment from you as an indie developer to say, this is the best possible version that I have. I'm almost close to launching, and please play the game and let's gather wish lists before launching. This is the way Steam Next Fest should be handled, right?
That's how I feel, for sure, yes. Basically, at this point, you should treat the demo as one of the best possible hooks that you have for people to understand, like, oh, I really want to play this game. You should have the impression like, yes, I want more. I need more of this to exist. I am prepared to pay for it as soon as it launches. And if it's just the first draft that's still very, very rough and people haven't played it and you haven't integrated that much feedback, it's going to be very hard to do that. They're not going to sit. The first version that you put out will probably not be the best, naturally, because you will improve it with their feedback. So it's a pretty good idea to do that a lot of time in advance, collect a lot of feedback, improve it a lot, then come into Next Fest with the strongest possible demo that you've ever had, make people want more, crave it, so that when you actually launch, they'll be like, yes, shut up and take my money. I want this yesterday.
That meme came to my mind now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective and shift on the Next Fest. I didn't have this before documenting myself on this. I thought I could use Steam Next Fest just as a marketing beat to gather more wish lists for the game that will launch sometime in the future, not treat it as the last possible Next Fest before actually launching the game, and to have the best possible version of your demo available. I still believe there can be exceptions to this rule, but yeah, that's a solid advice to keep in mind for a lot of indie devs. Myself, I've just started to help a local studio here in Brașov develop our own game. It's called Two Left Hands. It's a social co-op game where each player is one left hand and you need to do odd jobs inside a small town. It's physics based and it's really funny and it's really chaotic. It's about coordination. And we want to enter Steam Next Fest in June. We just made a community playtesting last week to validate the core idea, the concept, and the technical aspect of multiplayer playing online. It was really nice, a lot of interesting feedback, and we said, okay, let's do the best we can to have a demo up on Steam Next Fest. And this is a valid question, if we think we can have the best demo possible for this event or not.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think you had a very good intuition with that. Joining the festival would be a good opportunity to gather a bunch of feedback. I would just say it's probably not the next fest that you should be doing this with, but rather try to join other festivals, because there's other festivals on Steam, some that are actually hosted by Steam, some that are hosted by third parties, and try to do this with the other festivals, A, because they're not as important, and B, because they still get a lot of eyeballs. So
can you do that with an unreleased game?
So you can do it. You can do it as long as you have the demo. Yes.
And for this, you need a separate page for the demo build? Because I've seen this tactic for other games. I either have the main Steam page for the main game and there's just the demo button, play the demo, or they announce or release a separate page just for the demo.
Yeah, no, actually, you can just join it with a single page. There's definitely a discussion to be had about the second page type thing, and I think just by watching some data, it is the case that Chris Zukowski is kind of the only dude that really puts out a lot of data that he has from people. He's sufficiently well known at this point that he talks to a lot of people and they just give him data so that he can aggregate it, which is really cool. And yeah, I was checking out his stuff and he was saying basically there's little to no impact in whether you have a separate page for the demo or not. It kind of seems like it's slightly better to have a separate page as well for the fact that you can collect more feedback. There is a review on the secondary page. There's a review section. People can leave reviews, and basically it's a good way to collect even more feedback. And if you don't like it, you can actually turn the page off. So,
interesting.
Yes,
so in that way, you won't have negative reviews when you launch your game, hopefully in a better state.
Yes. That's exactly it. You could just turn it off if you don't like what people are saying, and it's still gonna do fine. Yeah, no. If you have a demo out, just join as many festivals as possible. At least for the Steam ones, they're really cool, but they oftentimes don't let you join if you don't have these very specific conditions that are required for the festival and whatnot. But there's third-party festivals, and some of them do get featuring. As I was saying, you can even create your own festivals, from my understanding. It's just that Steam is probably not going to feature them. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, it's you and a couple of other dudes together, barely sold any copies. We're not going to put you on the front page, but you can still do it. And at the very least, on your own games page, you get a banner with the festival that you're currently joining. So people can go to a different game and they see the banner and they click, okay, let's see who else is in this festival, and maybe they discover your game through that, which is pretty cool. And as well, there's a lot of big festivals that are organized by third parties, and those can definitely bring in a lot of visibility.
Yeah. So these are the official Steam festivals here, the list, and you also said third-party ones, which I don't think there are.
No, they don't show up in here. No, I don't even know if Steam shows them in advance. You can kind of find out about them mostly in Discords. And again, Chris Zukowski has a tool type thing that actually announces, it gives you a ping whenever there's 1 or 7 days left until the registration period ends for one of these festivals. So you can always register for them, read about them, and do all this nice stuff.
All right. Before getting into these specific tactics, what it felt like to you to be inside Next Fest as a indie developer with your own game? I'm not talking about the numbers now. We'll get into that really short. The experience. How glued were you to your screen just hitting that refresh button for Wishlists? Or how were you with your community?
Well, I was completely glued and I would have loved to actually get some data, but unfortunately, Steam does not work well at all during the Next Fest. So basically, you get almost no feedback in terms of how many wishlists, how many plays, how many anything are happening during the festival itself. Yeah,
that's important to know.
Yes. You don't get scared if it seems like nobody's actually accessing the game, because it doesn't show up on Steam. I think there's just so many things happening on Steam that they're turning it off because it would not be accurate at all. Your most accurate information you just get after the festival itself. So it's already the case that wishlists are, I wouldn't say badly tracked, but Steam is not doing the best job at showing you precisely what is happening. And
so no real-time data?
No real-time data. No real good way of integrating with like advertising stuff. For example, I do ads on Reddit, and it would be great if Steam would tell Reddit who actually wishlisted the game among the traffic that came from Reddit, and they just don't. They have like a 24-hour buffer time, let's say, before they even report really accurate data or some accurate data.
So there's no way to track, you're saying, the source of the traffic?
There's ways to track the source, but it's not at the level where you can do cost per activation type stuff as you would have in other systems, or type cost per downloads or stuff like that. At least not live data. But like a couple of days later, you can see how many wishlists you gained and how many of those wishlists actually came from ads and all that stuff. But you can see it directly into Steam. It's just that it's very delayed. At least during the festivals, it's even worse. It takes more than 2 days to get any kind of data. I would have loved that. It didn't really work. What does work, however, is the number of players actually playing your game and the number of downloads and all that. And I was refreshing that. That updates, I think, every hour or so. And yeah, seeing more and more people play, getting a bit hit with the fact that they were playing for less than 10 minutes and then quitting.
So it's a high on your part. Oh, I have players, and then they're leaving.
And there's a bunch of bots in the beginning. You get like 1,000 downloads immediately, and you're like, yes, thousands of people are playing my game. I don't know, like the first 1,000 people are bots.
Really?
Yes. There's a lot of tiny stuff like this. No idea.
Exist? What's the purpose of this?
No idea. Everyone talks about their existence, and sometimes you'll see a post on Reddit. Someone says like, "Yes, I had the first 700 people play my game," and people will reply like, "Yeah, you have 300 more bots before you actually start getting real players."
Well, in that case, can you also have bots on the wish lists themselves?
I think probably yes, because I know there are services that will let you buy wish lists. They've contacted me as well. Yeah. It's just that those wish lists basically mean absolutely nothing, and I'm pretty sure not even for Steam. Even the Steam algorithm kind of understands that it's a wish list from someone who's never bought a game, so it probably isn't worth anything. But I know you can buy them, so it means there probably can be bots for them. Again, not something I've experienced with, so I'd rather get my wish list the old-fashioned ways.
Of course.
Posting on Reddit and getting banned.
Yeah, I was just curious if this is a practice on Steam. So I'm coming from the mobile dev space on Play Store and App Store, and now I'm moving into Steam, and I'm getting familiar with the platform. And I'm just curious if people do this, and why would they do this? Because I don't see a real benefit to it other than maybe a ego boost or marketing push, just to say out loud, hey, I have 50,000 wish lists, out of which only 5,000 are real.
Yeah, well, that's also a real thing. I think we were having a discussion the other day in the Discord channel, right? That there's a game that had very quickly, they gained like 100,000 wish lists, and it kind of seemed by the number of followers.
Yeah, in 3 days. Something like that. They announced in 3 days they had 100k wishlist. I'm not going to say the name of the game because I don't want to put it in a bad light. It may be true because the idea is appealing. They have a really good Steam page.
Yes.
But it can seem fishy. I mean, it can seem like there's a bot farm there.
For sure. So it remains to be seen how effective that would be. My guesstimate would be that it's probably not, because if it were, it would be done by a lot more people. I think it's just one of those things where, the number appears bigger, but as you join, for example, you join the next fest, maybe those 7,000 wish lists still translate to no actual boost. To be tested. If you're out there and you tested buying wish lists from bots, send us a message.
Yeah, exactly.
We would just be curious about it.
Yeah. And please add in the comments. We're also curious. Do you know people that did this? Do you know of their success or their results? They truly benefit from this? We're curious.
Yeah. So I tried a bunch. I looked at the stats a lot. It did help a little bit that I had actually released my demo earlier. I had released my demo a couple of months before the next fest, so at least I had an idea about some of these things, and some of the fact that during the festivals the tracking doesn't work as well. But it was still a magical day, let's say. And then seeing at the end of I think at the end of the day I had some idea of how many more wish lists I had, and it was a lot, and I was like, yes, let it keep on rising and going to the moon, and it did not. But it rose fairly well.
Thanks for sharing that. Now, let's get into the actual data, the statistics from the industry. We have here a well-known website, How to Market a Game, by Chris Zukowski. He's the guru for game marketing for indies. He's a really, really great person. He has a lot of courses, a lot of classes, a Discord community. I'm going to leave his links here in the description below. And Lexy, thank you. You just pointed this out this morning before starting, that he posted this article fresh today as we are talking. But there's one small error on his page. Maybe he'll correct it soon. It's not posted from last year. This is truly from now, this morning. It's just a publishing error here. And we have here this table that was created by Chris. It's based on the categories of games on how much they earned in terms of dollars. And here we have in the second column the number of wish lists they gathered after that next fest event. So in this case, it's directly correlated. It's pretty self-explanatory. The games that have below 1,000 wish lists made the least amount of money after launching. Then he has the silver, gold, and diamond category. I don't know if we have an interval for amount made.
I think on the platform, but he typically says something like bronze are games that make less than $10,000, and then silver is between 10 and 250. Gold is 250,000 to $1 million, and then diamond tier is over $1 million.
Wow. Okay. So those type of games are the ones that actually make 10,000 and more wish lists during the Steam Next Fest.
Typically so, yeah.
And the rest are somewhere in between, which is pretty brutal. I mean, that's not quite a lot, as many I think would expect from a festival. Okay, I'm gonna get thousands of wish lists from this Next Fest guaranteed. It's not the way that happens. And we're gonna look at the comparison from last year. He also made a data gathering from that. The trend is going down because there are a lot of games that are being released each year, and the competition is even larger. And another interesting fact to be aware of that Chris talks about is the demo conversion rate, meaning from the total amount of wish lists, how many people actually play the demo. And he says here that the magic number is around 20% range. It depends. The 30th percentile is around 12%, the median is 16%, and the 17th percentile is 20%. He also shows here that for games that are above 1,000 wish lists, it looks like the sweet spot is between 20 and 30% range. So expect this out of the Steam demo itself.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think like, to what extent do you need to optimize the demo to be the best possible thing, as I was imagining would be the case, and to what extent would it just be that the normal stuff, the page and the trailer and all that stuff, because like 80% of the people won't play the demo anyway. Maybe it just ties into the algorithm from Steam and the number of impressions that they give you in the first place. If you don't have a good demo, they probably don't give you a lot of impressions. And if you don't have a lot of impressions, you don't get the 80% that wouldn't play the demo anyway, but they are wishlisting it.
Exactly. He also says here about the impressions. In the first 2 days of the last Next Fest, the algorithm showed most games around the same amount of times. The impressions around 25,000. And then after day 3, the Steam algorithm learned about these games and made decisions on which game to show more or less.
Yes. I'll show some data later about my game as well, and it's the same. It's the exact same thing, and it kind of feels like for other festivals, the same thing is starting to happen as well. Where in the first 2 days they get a bit of footing, they show a lot of stuff, and then people decide they within the festivals they either buy or they play the demos, and then the festival page just starts popping up the things that are more worth it, let's say.
Yeah, makes sense. And when you registered with your game, what was your honest expectation going in? How
to
far
the
off
moon
were you from reality? Yeah, to the moon, right? Like Artemis 2 mission.
Yeah. Well, look, the thing about me is I really like to have a positive vision and an optimistic view of what's going to happen. So I was thinking like, I have 4,000 wish lists, but I'm going to go in here and people will see that I have the best possible game out there. I'm going to get like 30,000 wish lists and go to the moon. And that did not happen. But it was still great to get like a lot more wish lists than I would on a normal day, for sure.
So you were optimistic.
I was very optimistic. I was not cautiously optimistic. I was way too optimistic. But I never got disheartened by the fact that I didn't get this many wishes, because I didn't know how many you would get. I just knew there were games that went into the Next Fest with a few wish lists, and then they've had tens and hundreds of thousands. And it turned out that was the second Next Fest with the new algorithm, and that doesn't happen as much anymore. You don't get 200,000 wish lists that often, but rather even a very, very good game gets like 10, 12, 15,000.
Yeah. So that's important what you said. Steam changed the algorithm, and most likely they will also change it in the future for future events. And this will affect how people will find out about the games.
For sure, yes. In some sense, they're giving a bit more you're giving a bit more of a spotlight to all the games that are joining, and that has led, in fact, to a bunch of controversy where the press is seeing on the first 2 days of Next Fest, they're seeing a lot of AI games, for example, on the front page, and they're saying, hey, what the fuck's up with this whole thing? I mean, it's clearly slop, it's clearly not very good, and you're showing it on the very front page. What's up with that? But it's just that in the first 2 days, it's the algorithm is trying to give a bit of an honest chance to all of the games, and then the players basically vote by playing and by wishlisting it. And by the third day, the ratio of impression changes dramatically. Some games are completely thrown into the abyss, never to be seen again.
I have also a bit of sad news considering these new changes to Steam Next Fest. Here I brought up the data that Chris gathered from last year's event. And as we can see here, for the median for the games that had between 1,000 and below 10,000 wishlists before entering the Next Fest, the median wishlist gathered were around 1,513. And what would you say is for this last Next Fest? Higher or lower?
Well, I know it because I checked it. That's actually exactly the category that my game was in, silver tier, as Chris puts it. And yes, it's funny that I was dead on to the median last year. I actually got 1,500 wish lists during the Next Fest, and he said 1,500 for the silver tier is the median. I got smack on, and now it's 1,000.
So now it's 1,000. Yeah.
The thing is that
500 less.
Yeah, as far as we can tell, the algorithm is more or less the same because last year, February, was the second time that the algorithm appeared. So I think it was October 2024, and then it was February 2025 when I joined. It's just that something is happening this year, either because there's games or because of Resident Evil that launched and it took over the entire page, and there was probably just a lot less visibility to go around. So even if the algorithm distributed that visibility, it didn't do as much for individual games.
We had an outlier this Next Fest. We had a really big AAA game during the Next Festival. So yeah, it's becoming not only for indie games.
Yes. I mean, I hope it's an outlier. I hope we're not gonna see a new trend where big games launch during Next Fest just to kill us off.
In October, I believe we'll have GTA 6 during the Next Fest.
Perfect. Okay, back to your question about joining in June. Don't. Just don't.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but this is the hard realities. Well, last year there were 1,500 median wish lists gathered in this category before joining the event, and now we have 1,006 as a median number.
Yeah, and if we look at the other categories, I think it's just the same, especially for like the diamond tiers, the last tier, people that had like 100,000 already.
Yeah, this is the number to 23,731, and for this year it's around half.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's brutal.
It's quite brutal.
Wow.
Poor developers with 100,000 wish lists. I would not want to be them. Well, I would.
Still not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is the median number, right? Obviously.
Yes.
Most earned, as we can see here, 57,000, which is wow, great, amazing.
Nice.
One other piece of advice for everyone considering to join a Next Fest: if you have below 1,000 wish lists before joining the festival, that is a no-no. Ideally, you should not do that, except if you have a very specific use case for yourself, for your situation, that you truly want to do it. Other than that, don't do that. Wait for the next festival, polish your demo, gather more wish lists on your own. And Chris says that ideally above 2,000 wish lists is the threshold where the variance can become highly in your favor. There's a possibility that the game will do well during the festival.
Yeah, makes sense.
How many wish lists did you had before joining the festival?
I had around 4,000, so almost 4,000. Yeah.
Okay.
I was dead smack in the silver tier. I wasn't quite gold, and I actually never got there before launching. Of course, all of this data is just an aggregate, and it's a view of what happens to games. It cannot be 100% accurate. It has been for me, though. My game was precisely a silver tier game with precisely the number of wishlist gains during the event, precisely the number of sales and the money that was generated and all that stuff. So look at this data with a grain of salt, but also with the understanding that maybe it will map correctly onto your situation as well. So yeah, I had about 4,000.
Okay, congratulations. And I'm just gonna share this to our viewers, just a quick promo.
Yeah,
If
thank
there's
you.
anyone who doesn't know about it, Lexy's game, so High Seas, High Profits. It's a medieval trader simulator game. If you like spreadsheets, as Lexy put it in our previous episode, this is the game for you. So please check it out. Either wishlist it or buy it and play it, depending on your preference, if this is the type of game for you.
Great, thank you.
With this game, Lexy entered the Next Fest with 4,000 wishlists, as he said, and now this is the perfect segue. Lexy, please share your data, what you can, regarding your performance during that festival. In what Next Fest did you join?
So I joined the February 2025 Next Fest, and I will show you now some data. See what kind of data I
so
can
it's
show
exactly
you.
in that data that Chris had gathered from last year. You are,
Yes,
as you said, you are one of those.
I am
those
precisely
data
down the
points.
middle. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious. I'm gonna research in the meantime. Do we know how many games entered in that event?
I don't recall. I think he posts that. I think he does.
So for last year, when you entered, 2,244 games participated.
Ooh, okay, yeah. And I think it's 3,500 this year, 3,500.
And he surveyed 10% of those games.
Which is nuts. That's why I say he has a lot of people sending data in.
Yeah.
10% it's definitely not enough to get a full picture of what happened, but it's a lot. I think he's got the most information outside of Steam themselves.
Real quick, please subscribe to the channel if this really brings value to you, either as a player interested in indie games or an indie developer interested in the journeys of other developers. And please leave in the comments a question that you would like to be answered by the next indie guest in the Behind the Indie Game podcast. What curiosity do you have of this vast and amazing world of building indie games? Thank you. Let's continue.
Okay, so here's some data that I actually pulled up from Steam, and there's two categories of data, and I'm going to explain why some of them are visible and some of them are hidden. So the visible stuff is number of wishlists, and this is just to give an idea of how many wishlists I got with my game during the event, and how it was. Let's say I put a couple of days before and after, just so that you get an idea of whether this trend continued or not after the festival. For me, it kind of did not. So there was a baseline before the festival for me of getting 20, 25, 30 or so wishlists. And during the event, that spiked a lot, as you can see. I peaked at about 258 wishlists a day, which it was fine compared to my initial 4,000, but it was clearly not anything crazy by the standard that also Chris observes in other games, particularly in gold tier games or above.
And did you do other outside promotion on your own or relied only on the festival doing?
So I did also some ads. Why I feel my game did well was because I didn't have a lot of reach, but I identified some subreddits where my game worked, and then I just put money into ads, and people liked them. It started pouring in, and I had a little bit of money into ads, but it was nothing significant. You can think like $10 a day or something like that. So $70 for the whole period. So definitely not a lot. It's definitely, from my point of view, it's definitely Steam doing all the work here. Okay, so that's on the wishlist side, and you can see that this trend of getting the first days of actual visibility or baseline visibility, let's say, where, well, I shouldn't say visibility because on the second slide we actually have impressions, but in the first 2 days where Steam is still learning stuff and giving you some more or less guaranteed impressions, guaranteed visibility, I had the most wishlists, and then it fell off. And that happened simply because my demo was not one of the top performing ones. It wasn't not trash tier either. It wasn't one of the worst possible ones because those just fall off completely. They get no more visibility and therefore no more wishlists, but it didn't get that many either. And at some point it actually peaks back up, which is really cool. And I've observed this in other festivals and seen it in other people as well.
And do you know why?
I think so. I think it is the Sunday effect. Basically,
weekend.
Yes, the weekend. It's really cool how Steam actually starts the next fest on a Monday, when people don't necessarily have the most time to play games, but during the weekend, it starts peaking up again. So there is just more visibility to be thrown around. And even if my game didn't probably change significantly, it didn't improve within these days so that people played more. Just the fact that there was more visibility to go around, it actually helped it a little bit. So it peaked the second time.
Interesting, yeah, and that could be a good tactic for anyone who wants to do this in the next festival, to promote your game during the weekend to help you have that second spike. Maybe that
Yes, yes,
could
yes,
be a
yes,
good
yes, yes.
timeline for that.
For sure, for sure. It could be. I would say it's still probably better to heavily promote your game within the first 2 days, because then you give the Steam algorithm the impression like, oh wait, this game, this is the real deal. Let's give it even more visibility and to see if it still holds up. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe at some point they say, okay, this is too much. Bump it down a bit. But from my understanding, there's games that they just go on and on and on. They get all the visibility by the end, simply because they just have way better demos. So a lot of people are playing it. So Steam is saying, yeah, no, let's give it to the best one.
So the first 2 days, the first 2 days of the next fest are really critical for everyone. It's where Steam gives equal chances to all the games, and starting with the third day, Steam decides, okay, this is worth promoting and this I'm gonna bury.
Yes, it kind of seems like that's exactly what's happening. Yes.
Indie devs, please take note of this and be as active as possible during the first 2 days to pump up those playtimes.
For sure. And ideally, plan your marketing in advance so that within the first few days, you have someone who's playing the game and it pops up in media and it pops up in on Twitch and on YouTube and everywhere, so that everyone's seeing it and everyone wants to play it. And it just fucks with the algorithm so much that it gets shown everywhere.
Yeah. Are you aware how Steam decides if a demo is good or not to promote it, less or more?
I think we don't exactly know. I think there's no one has come out and say, okay, this is the exact reason for it, and this is precisely how it works. But it seems to be something about the number of people playing the actual demo. So actually playing it, not just downloading it, which, as we said, can happen by bots and whatnot, but people who actually want to play the game. It might be that it is about the time spent inside of the game, but from my understanding, that's not exactly it, particularly because there's games where by default you spend a lot of time in the game. So incremental type games where you start the game, leave it in the background, go and eat, come back, click a couple more times, and on that, many times they have hundreds of hours in them before someone says, yeah, no, this is boring, which is pretty interesting. And so it's most likely that it is about the number of people who downloaded and played at least for a certain threshold time. Let's say maybe 15, maybe 30 minutes. I've heard an interesting analysis by there's 3 developers who are brothers, I think. They have a channel on YouTube and they are developing a game, and the game is pretty big. So they got to talk to a lot of people who have big games, which is really cool. And they oftentimes say that the 1 to 2 hour mark for your demo, so having people play 1 to 2 hours, is basically one of the sweet spots for getting a lot of featuring. Now, whether they're right or wrong, I don't know, but it kind of makes sense. I'll be able to tell you how much people played my game. Spoilers, it's not a lot because the demo was not that good.
And do we know a best practice on how long a demo should be?
I think there's no exact best practice, but it seems likely that if people play it for more, it's better. However, you shouldn't do it so much so that people don't want to play the full game anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a fairly interesting strategy with my game and the demo, because rather than saying, here's a limited amount of content that you could play, I just said, here, you can play the full game, basically. Everything that is in the game with just a tiny asterisk there, but you play it for 4 in-game years. I think it was 4 at that time. Later I changed it to 6 in-game years, which translated to about 2 hours, but it could be as long as 10 if you took your time.
Wow.
Basically.
So you're really generous with your demo.
I think I was, yes. But I also felt that people who enjoy this type of game, as soon as they hit the 6-year barrier, they're going to be like, fuck, I want to keep on playing. No, why did you stop here? And I was fortunate to see a YouTuber do exactly that. He picked up the game, played for a couple of hours, and right before he was trying to build a ship and do some stuff and make some automated trading, he got hit with the screen like, thanks for playing. It's been 4 in-game years. And he was like, damn, they cut at the best time, damn it.
Well, that's perfect. That's the hook. That's how you make them want to buy the game afterwards.
Yes, I genuinely think it might make a lot of sense to have a demo that starts very, very strong, activates the people so that they go past the 10 minutes mark, which seems to be a problem for a lot of games. And then have an okay middle, because you cannot have everything be at 100%, and then end on an uptrend, and with like the best possible stuff. Just give people like, yeah, now I'm going to the moon. It's the best part of the game. And then you cut it and you're like, yeah, it's coming. We're working on it, but it's not here yet. Just so that they remember you.
Solid advice. Okay, second chart.
Sweet. So the second chart is also information from Steam, but if you have a game on Steam, you will see that in the panel for Steamworks and in the behind the scenes data, let's say, everywhere they put a disclaimer saying, okay, this is our data. This is not something you're supposed to share. And especially with the impressions that Steam is giving you on your game, they make that extra clear that you're not supposed to share that. That's not supposed to be seen by anyone. With wishlists, you can more or less infer how many wishlists a game has just by checking trackers and websites that look at the followers. So based on the number of followers, you can kind of infer the number of wishlists. So that's why I don't feel at all, I feel perfectly fine.
What followers you get for the studio or for the game?
So there's followers for the game. And there's followers for the studio. So if you create a studio page, you can get followers there. But also the games have followers, which is something I never did. I never followed the game before knowing it was a thing.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
you just typically wishlist them. But it seems that roughly 10%, and then that's a very, very, very good estimate. Almost always about 10% of people also follow aside from wishlisting. So you can just take the number of followers, multiply it by 10, and you kind of get the wish list. And that doesn't happen all the time, but it happens more often than not. So it's a pretty good estimate. So based on that, I feel comfortable with showing the wish list. However, for the traffic that Steam themselves are giving inside of the platform, I don't think it would be fair for them to show it, particularly because they say, don't show this thing. So I'm not going to give you the exact numbers, but I will give you the trends for it. So this is what I extracted here. I hid the information, but I can show you how the data is trending, how the numbers are trending. And as you can see as well for me, on the 24th, which was, I believe, the first day of the festival, I had decent traffic. It definitely this zero value here isn't actually zero. It's just the baseline that I normally have from Steam, so it's a bit higher. But definitely on the first day, it was a lot higher than that.
Can you at least get a measure of the order of magnitude from the baseline? What's the peak? Is it 10, 20, 100 times larger?
I think it's about 10 times, something
around
like that.
10, something like that, just an order of magnitude.
Probably something like 10 times as large, yeah.
Okay.
And then on the second day, they probably figured I did something fairly well because they gave me even more visibility, which is cool. It's quite a bit. It's 2 or 2.5 times more than the previous day, which is awesome. And if my game had a killer demo, if it was really, really good, that trend could have continued. It could have gone up and up and up and up and up and into the stratosphere, but it did not. It started slowly going lower and lower, and you can see in here as well the peak that comes from the weekend, but in this case it's the impressions in the platform. Yeah. A small hump that's associated with the weekend, and it probably also means that at this point my own efforts for marketing started picking up a bit more, as opposed to the festival itself doing all the work. That's why we see a bit more wish lists, or the second peak is a bit more stronger than the visibility given itself. But I felt this would be a really cool thing to show, particularly because I actually have another festival that I joined before the next fest, and that is the Real-Time Strategy Fest, RTS Fest. Yes, and I also extracted the data from that one. So as you can see, starting from the impressions this time, starting at the bottom, as you can see, the graph is very, very similar. So in the first 2 days, you get a boost of visibility. After that, it goes down. And at least in my case, for the RTS Fest, the visibility got lower a lot quicker. I associate that to the fact that my demo was a lot worse. At this point, basically, the demo had just launched, and you will see in the wish list as well that I went into it getting more wish lists before the festival, or like peaking with more wish lists before the festival than during the festival, which is very odd if you just look at the graph and you don't know why that is happening. But it's basically happening because I actually released my demo on the 15th, and I released my demo into going into this festival, into going on the RTS Fest. So there is a thing where when you release your demo on Steam, you actually get a bunch of boost in visibility. And it is a known tactic to use that visibility into going in another festival. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew I wanted to be in this fest.
So how would that work? You launch your demo, Steam then announces everyone that previously wishlisted, hey, you can play the demo. So that would be a marketing bit for yourself to use. And then use that to go immediately into a festival. That's what you're saying?
Yes. Seeing that you have a lot of plays before the festival is one of the metrics that's influencing the first couple of days inside of the festival in making Steam say, okay, this game is doing great, let's give it even more visibility. It's just that the visibility that is being used is more from your demo launch rather than your demo being played.
So treat it as a demo launch, exactly as you said. And you should launch your demo before next fest in this situation, right? Because in my mind it was, okay, I'm gonna launch the demo just one day before the festival starts.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. So for this particular festival, it's not the next fest. So for me, it was like use it or lose it. I either join the RTS fest or I don't, and I did my best to just have a build available so that I can join the RTS fest. But it was not as good as I would have wanted it to be, and that was probably not the smart move anyway. It would probably been better to use the boost in visibility from the demo launch itself and ignore any festivals or anything like that if I had the better demo, which I did not. But yes, it is a tactic, and from my understanding, the most evolved, the most risky version of that is you just launch your very first demo into the next fest itself, so that you get the boost of the demo launch visibility and get that compounded by the next fest. But as we have seen, the next fest doesn't have as much of an impact anymore, so maybe that's not the best thing you can do. Maybe just having the best demo launch you can possibly have and getting a lot of wish lists like that, it's a lot better. Still.
I think I'm gonna consider with our game, Two Left Hands, the possibility of launching the demo when it's available, when it's in good enough state before the festival, get some traffic, get some feedback, see if we can improve it before the festival, and then have it already available when the festival launches.
Yeah, to me that kind of seems like the best thing to do. And to me particularly, I think we're too much in a hurry. We should take it a little bit slower, have the demo out for a good while before joining the next fest and before they're releasing the game as well, even if you don't work full-time on the game as well. Even if it's just in the market to gather stuff and to join festivals and to have marketing opportunities and all that, you should probably have the demo up front for, let's say, half a year, for example. I would have loved to have mine up for half a year before the next fest, even more, get more feedback, improve it more, have more opportunities to appear in a lot of media, particularly I think media for different countries. Something like, for example, my game would have worked well in Germany, but I rushed everything so much that I never actually got to a lot of German press and they didn't cover it. So yeah, take your time would be my impression of it.
Okay, thank you for that advice.
Yeah, you're welcome. So in this graph, we can kind of see that for the release day, the January 20th was the first day of this festival, and it was for me pretty much the peak of wishlists within the festival. But that's because I came very strong in with the demo recently launched. More wishlists came in because of the launch itself than of the festival. But the festival still did great, so I would still recommend that people do other festivals other than Next Fest as well. And in terms of visibility, also I'm not gonna give you the exact values, but I can say the peak in here is about a third of the peak that I had in Next Fest. So it's still a decent chunk of visible.
Well, thank you for sharing these numbers. I hope this will help a lot of indie developers that will join the events. And indie devs that are watching, please share in the comments your numbers from your previous events if you can and if you want. We're really curious to look at the data and help others as well.
For sure. Yes.
And I'm curious if you promoted inside of your game the idea of players wishlisting the game, because I know this is a recommended tactic even by Steam to put a direct link into your game to wishlist the game and to have a clear call to action. Did you do this?
Yes, I did. I actually don't let people quit right from the game. I make them go to the main menu because I have a button there where I say wishlist the game. But I think I would do it even more aggressively now. I think you should have a call to action when the people finish the demo. The demo should probably be shorter than what I had. It should be layered so that it has a lot more impact in the beginning, a lot more impact in the end. My current thought is it should be a tailored experience. So it should not just be a slice of the game, but rather a tailored experience where you think from the very beginning, okay, how does the demo start? What does the player do next? Where do they get this thing? Where do they get this? How do they get all the information and all the hype? And then just end it on an uptrend and then smack them with wishlist now. Because from my understanding, there's a lot of people who play the game and they never wishlist. So they play the demo. And so, I had some buttons.
So the demo should be treated as an experience to gather excitement as much as possible about the game. It's not necessarily a vertical slice where you showcase everything that's possible for the game. I've read this type of opinion, and I kind of want to go this way also. So it's a dedicated experience that shows what you have best to offer in that moment of your game, and then end it with smack in your face wishlisted.
From my point of view, for sure, yes, it should be something you put a lot of thought in. And if I were to give a comparison, I would say it's the thumbnail or maybe the title of a YouTube video. You want it to be clickbaity, but you also want it to actually contain the thing that it says it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good comparison. Yeah,
I think so. Like, people click on the video for the title and they see, oh wow, is this real thing? And then if it doesn't contain that, then it's awful. Then it's misleading and it's predatory, and you don't want that for sure. It should contain the thing, but it should be also the best version of that thing. And maybe sometimes the vertical slice of your game, if you just take a vertical slice, maybe that's not it. It's not just the best parts. It's if you have a slow onboarding for the player and they need to play for an hour to understand the full game, that's definitely not the most interesting part. So maybe you make a slightly tinier experience where you give them just a few of the boring onboarding stuff and a lot of explosions, if you have an explosions game, and then it's really fun and awesome, and it ends on an uptrend in about an hour and a half, and they say, now wishlist, do it, and people are like, yeah, I'm gonna wishlist.
Perfect, solid advice. So people take this into account. And for everyone who is still here and watching us, this means that the title worked.
Yes.
Of this episode.
And hopefully it wasn't misleading. You got
and
exactly
at the end,
what
please like and subscribe.
Yes. You need to make like a big pop-up. No, do it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Lexy.
Thank you.
Knowing everything you know from the past experience of your festivals, if you were a dev that wanted to participate now in the next fest and you're in the wishlist phase, you have an upcoming game, what would you do differently and how would you prepare for the next festival? What advice would you give to a new indie dev that wants to bring their game to next fest?
I would say it might sound boring, but having a lot of wish lists is still the best thing you can do for your game going into it. So if you don't have a lot of wish lists, as you just said a little bit earlier as well, maybe delay. Maybe don't go with less than 2,000 wish lists, because that's the point where things start to spike up. If you have less than 2,000 wish lists, I think it's statistically very unlikely that you're going to get a lot of wish lists, or at least from the data we have from Chris. So go in with a lot of wish lists. Beyond that,
so you agree with that 2,000 wish list, as Chris says, is the threshold?
I don't know in terms of like a threshold, but just looking at his data, it kind of seems like if you have at least 2,000, then at least interesting things can happen. At least you can go get 10,000 wish lists out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, out of having a great demo, but at least that's the threshold at which that even happens. If you have less than 2,000, I think almost nobody gets a lot of wish lists. So it's kind of best to just have statistics on your side and say, okay, I'm going in with a lot of wish lists and hoping I multiply that even more. I would say have your demo out well in advance, have it played by a lot of people, join as many festivals, other festivals as possible, get a lot of feedback, and have a very well crafted experience. Like when someone plays a demo, It should have a beginning, a middle, an end. It should be a mini version of the game, which is not precisely a vertical slice. And what I did with my game, where I just gave the people the game, and I was like, yeah, you can play it for 4 years. If you want more than 4
take
years,
it for free.
sure, it's yours. And if you want more, then you can buy the game, which is not a good qualifier for a demo for sure. It was for me because I expected that players who want to play this kind of game, they will want to play for more than 4 in-game years. It's just getting spicy at that point.
And how much did actually players stay in the demo?
So people stayed in the demo very, very little. My demo median time was 15 minutes.
15?
So 15 minutes, yeah. So that means 50%, half of the people didn't even play it for 15 minutes, which is kind of sad. And in particular, 40% of people played for less than 10 minutes, which kind of means they opened up the game, they saw it, maybe they clicked a couple of buttons and they were like, nope, I'm not playing this. But they played it, which is very, very interesting, because you can say like, yeah, the bots downloaded it and they never played it, but then people played the thing. So they downloaded it, they waited for it, presumably, entered the game, played for 2 minutes, closed the game, like, yeah, I don't need this, which is pretty much a sign of a silver tier game.
This is a natural behavior.
Yes, this happens.
For most games,
it happens a lot. And as opposed to that, for the full game, my median play time, so half the people play for at least an hour and an hour 15.
Wow.
Yes. So 15 to an hour and 15. And there's definitely
That's a great improvement.
It's a great improvement. It's also the case that it would naturally improve because people paid for it. So after you pay for it, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot at least, which is one thing to consider. But then also it's a pretty big difference. And I have 287 people who played at least 20 hours, and a few nut jobs who played like 400. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're
almost
approaching the AAA playtime.
Concurrent marathon players.
Yeah, not considering the side quests, just the main story. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Well, I think this lines up because obviously Steam Next Fest is for everyone that's curious to try out a game. So anyone who isn't a fan of that game or that genre is just curious, downloads it, plays it a few minutes, and then, oh, it's not for me. Just forget about it. And it lines up with what Chris said there, that around 20% of people who wishlist it actually play it in the first place, the demo. And then out of those 20% of people, less than half actually spend the 10 minutes in your game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is in some sense painful, because you put your heart and soul into it, and then people are like, yeah, no, this is not worth 10 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
But it also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So people, this is the hard truth and the reality of participating in Steam Next Fest. Is it worth it from your point of view?
Definitely. Yes. I think you can do stuff so that it is more worth it, and you can also put in a lot of effort and not get any kind of results, but it's also still definitely worth it. I really love the way Steam works with the demo strategy, and if you think of it in terms of marketing, it's basically just qualifying a bunch of leads. It's a bunch of people who could potentially be interested in your game, but they don't know if they're interested in your game. And then they play the demo and they're like, oh yeah, I am interested in this thing. So it's really, really powerful. Yes, I think the effort overall, if you are going to launch a demo, then the effort of joining the Next Fest is not all that too large. Yeah, you do have to do a bunch of marketing and whatnot, but you would do that normally anyway if you want to launch your game and have it be successful. So yeah, totally do it. Totally do it with the best version of your game. Make it addicting. Make it be like crack. People want more. They join the Discord. They're like, where's the rest of the game, Lexy?
That's perfect. Do you know how many total players did you had playing your demo?
I think we can check real quick. Okay, so the game has 16,000 downloads and 10,000 players.
At the moment?
Lifetime.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Within its lifetime.
Yeah. No. I was curious during that Next Fest where you participated. I was curious how many players did you actually have in that period?
Okay, yeah. So within the period, I had 2,200 actual downloads, and about half of that, so 1,120 or so, actual people playing the game.
And a total amount of 1,500 wishlists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, nice stats, and thank you. I think this brings a lot of context to a lot of people for the ratio and what to expect on their side.
For sure.
All right, Lexy, thank you so much. You have been a hero for myself. I learned a lot for preparing for the next fest with the game that I'm contributing to. Again, viewers, if you haven't watched the previous video that Lexy and I did regarding his development journey on making high seas, high profits, and if you're curious, please check it out. I'm going to leave up here the link to that. Again, shout out to Lexy's game, High Seas, High Profits. Consider wishlisting it. This is our own cozy festival right now. So we're promoting indie games here also. If this is on your alley, wishlist it. If you're even more than that curious, buy it and play it. So this is how we support indie developers, and obviously for you to have fun. And also I want to use this opportunity to introduce to you the game that I'm contributing to Left Hands, together with the two other great guys from Stoneskip Studio here at Brasov. I'm helping out in the production side. This is the page. It's a social co-op physics game. It's funny, it's chaotic. We have chickens. Dragos recently made some updates to the Steam page. As you can see here, there are two players. You need to coordinate with each other to either do repairs or do silly jobs. It's quite fun. The feedback that we got from playtesting it as an early prototype is that this is going to be a very interesting game.
Nice. Good job.
All right, Lexy, I have a closing question from the other guests to you. This is a tradition that we started together actually in the first episode.
I remember.
This is from Nico, which made the game Oath of the Necromancer. This is the previous episode, so shout out to that, to also watch it to our viewers. Nico's question is, what inspired you to get into game development in the first place?
Oh, wow. I don't remember. It was quite a while back.
That's an honest answer.
Yeah. It was quite a while back. I remember installing Unity like many years ago, and before that doing a lot of other stuff. I think if I were to trace it to the beginning, it was math.
Wow.
Just math, because in high school I used to do flash games, and I had the flash game with my math teacher in it, where you would use her head to go around the maze and eventually it would chop it off, which now it sounds a bit more weird, but I guess I was always interested in technology, and just games seemed really a big part of technology, and mini clip games, and just being surrounded by games.
The mini clip era.
Games. Yes. Those were nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Really interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. I wouldn't have thought about that. Most people want the narrative, the worlds, right? The characters. Yeah. Okay, math.
Yeah.
It makes sense since you made the game based on spreadsheets.
Yes, of course. Yeah. It's precisely right up my alley.
Thank you so much. Well,
thank you for having me.
Thank you, Lexy.
It was really fun.
Yeah, same for me as always. You're a great friend. Thank you for making the time to share all your knowledge and wisdom on this interesting subject. I hope this will help you, the viewer, for you to make a better decision, an informed decision for your next festival. Please drop in the comments if what you learned here today is really useful. Share with us if you are going to participate in the next Steam Fest. Even share the link to your upcoming game if you have the Steam page on. Let's share the love, right? All right. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for staying with us until the end. I hope this episode brought value to you, either as a player or as an indie developer working on your own indie games. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and see you next time. Cheers.